legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony. Eldred here. Today I want to talk about one of the requests that came from one of my super legends. CV Rivera had asked, he sent a couple of requests. He said that, and I'm going to combine them. He had watched the video where we were battling the wind. I think the one where Paul and I were in the red spotty jerseys, and he said, since you're battling the wind, can you talk about the different positions that you would use when you're riding in the wind? And also the different positions you use when you're climbing. And he heard that some people said when you're climbing, you need to shift early, and what I would kind of talk about that. So to do that, what I'm going to do is get on the bike. Okay, so to address the request from my super legend CV Rivera, sorry it took so long. It's been a crazy week with things I was setting up on my website. But basically what I do when I'm riding in the wind, if it's super windy, this is the position I'm in. Of course, like everything, the assumption is your bike fits you. There are a lot of riders who have a bad fit. Don't ride here at all. It's not comfortable. The bars are too low or out of reach or whatever. I can stay here all day long. And you can see how low I am right here. This is how I ride in the wind. Like this. Or position number 2 on the tops. Like this. You see my arms are parallel. You can change your hand position if you want. Just roll your wrist over. These are the 2 most efficient positions in the wind. And the biggest thing is, you can see where my head is. I look almost like through my eyebrows. I keep my head down and move my eyes up so I can see the road fine right here. So I don't have to lift my head. Now when I'm in the group, whether it's windy or not, when I'm drafting, I don't stay this low. I come up right here. Helps me breathe a little easier. And it's just a change in the position. So in the back when you're drafting, you sit like this. You get in the front, even if it's not super windy. Every time you're moving, you're fighting some kind of wind resistance. So you just go ahead and you get to the front, lower your torso. That's all you got to do. You get back in the pack, come back up like this. Get a chance to bring more air into your lungs. So when you're sitting in the draft, like this, when you get to the front, bend your arms. Doesn't matter whether you're in the drops or here. Same thing. See my hands changed? My torso did not. So you get to the front, you lower your body at the front like this, get back in the pack, you can just go back up like this. So when I'm in the draft, I sit like this most of the time. Plus it allows me to see around the riders I'm following by sitting like this. And once I get to the front, I just lower my torso. You notice everything I'm doing, I'm not shifting in the saddle. And I think one of the comments you made was shifting. I think you meant shifting gears. Now, as far as gearing, when people say shift early, what they mean is shift before you lose momentum. Shift before you're bogged down. Because by the time you're bogged down and you lose momentum, the shifting is clunkier, especially if you're climbing on the load. So as you approach a climb, you want to find a gear before you get there. So you're riding down the road and the climb's coming and you feel that gear kind of lagging. Shift down a little bit because you can always shift more if you need to. I always go down 1 cog lower than I think I need. Because it's always easier to shift up on the load than to shift down. Because you got to lighten the load, if that makes sense. But it doesn't really matter whether you're climbing or on the flats. On the flats, the only difference is you can coast. So that's how you cheat. On a hill, you can't coast. So you're exposed. Because all of a sudden, you just lose that momentum. On the flats, you stop pedaling, you're still rolling somewhat. That's the biggest difference. But the same thing on the flat. Shift before your gear gets too hard for you. So you come around a curve, shift one gear lower than you think you'll need. Because if necessary, you can shift up easier without lightening the load. So shift before you need it. That's what they mean by shifting early. And it's all going to vary based on your fitness, your strength, and what you can handle. You've got to know yourself. It has nothing to do with other people. Ride the gear you can handle. So when you asked the question, I was a little perplexed because I figured it was obvious, but I think you needed more of a confirmation, because I have a feeling you had suspicions about what positions to ride in the wind, and you just need a confirmation. So I'm going to summarize by saying, first thing is, if your bike fits you, you can do all of this I'm showing you very easily without moving around on the saddle and doing all of that. So the wind picks up, drop your torso. You try it when you're outside, when you're in your car next time, put your hand outside the window, do this, and then do this. You will feel the difference. Same thing. So, when you're in the pack, you want to be here. You're climbing, you want to be here. You can breathe better. In the pack, the main thing is you can see around people by being up like this. There's no point in getting down low because they're already breaking the air for you. Once you roll to the front, doesn't matter whether you're on the tops or in the drops, lower your torso. Like this. Doesn't matter if you have one of those physiques, whether your back is flat or not. Some people have a hump in their upper back. Doesn't matter. Lower the frontal area. You want to close this hole right here. That's your goal. So from here to here, you can see my torso stayed the same. I get in the drops when it's windy, breezy, blowing. I'm going to hold the hooks. You have the most control here. This is where I am when it's just very treacherous. Even when it's not windy, you're in the pack, and let's say you're coming around, people getting ready to sprint and stuff like that. It gives you more control. I get here, I put one finger on my brakes, like that. This is where you get your most control. And you don't have to always be super low. You could be right here if you're looking around, but once you get going, just lower your torso. And if your fit is right, you should be able to do it without shifting on the saddle. So I'm going to wrap it up there. If you have any questions and suggestions, please feel free to leave it down there. Any additions, but get out there, ride your bike, and don't let anything stop you.